All right, we're live. Are we live?
Yes, the lake.
Ah, there we go. Now we're good. Now we're live. Yeah. Okay. Somebody, hopefully somebody's watching. Comment that you can hear me okay. I'm going to turn the microphone. Maybe this will be better. Yeah, let me know if you guys can hear me okay before we start this. Do 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 do.
Not everybody's watching.
Huh?
Not everybody's watching.
Nobody's watching. Okay. Well, hopefully you guys can hear me okay. We don't have anybody out there to test the audio, so we're just going to go ahead and go. Most of you are going to probably watch this in a replay, and that's all good. Today is the 3rd of August, and this is a meeting for Decades Reclaimed Vintage Depot on our vendor page. Let's start off with talking about July. July was a record-breaking month. Once again, July smashed the July from last year, and that's how we gauge everything is whether we do better than the same year the same month year before, and we crushed it from last year. I think most of the vendors did better in their booths than they did last year. Those that track it that way. Otherwise, it was just it was a great month. Great month. The first thing we want to talk about before we go any further, that it's super hot in the shop right now, and we are very aware of that. That it is hot and it's interfering with some people and their ability to do their shift. Flat out, if you can't do your shift because of the heat, just buy it out. You can do it for the summer months or whatever, but just be you can do that. You just pay the $50. You don't have to do a shift. But understand that you can't, in the middle of the month, decide you're going to do a shift when the schedule's already set. That's not going to happen. So if you want to buy out for August and you've already scheduled your shift, you're just going to have to go ahead and do the shift. But if you don't want to continue through September, October, November, whatever it is, you can let us know before, or when Lori schedules out to ask you for your request on a shift, you can just say, I'm going to buy out. I can't do it because it's too hot or whatever, and that's fine. You can do that. You have the right to do that. And so that's our recommendation if you can't handle the heat. If the heat bothers you and you've got to go home early or you've got to leave or whatever, or you get sick, the shop will send you home. If you're sick and you're not feeling good, you're going to have to pay that $50. So be prepared. Come with waters. We're trying to rotate through the front. Let people go up to the front. The only problem is when we let everybody decide they can go up the front on their own, there's entirely too much time spent in an area that may not even have a customer in it. And the air conditioner suffers when we're opening the door 50 times during the shift. So when you're working with me and I have enough vendors, I will allow you to rotate through the front, but the person in the front is going to initiate the rotation. You're not going to decide you're hot in the back and go up there and ask the person in the front if you can switch with them. So that's just the way how I do it. Each counter person, each person that's running the register can do it the way they see fit for that particular day and that particular shift. But if you're working with me, I'll allow you to go through the front. We'll do it on a rotating basis, but it will be initiated by the person that is in the front, not somebody from the warehouse going up to asking if they can switch. Okay, let's just move right along. Let's talk about summer months. Even though we had a record-breaking month in July, some of you have slower sales in the summer months, and we're going to recommend a few things that you guys can do. First of all, we're going to talk about the hustle. This is what we call the hustle. It's where you take items that are in your booth and you post them up on Facebook Marketplace, and then you direct the customer to the shop during operational hours to purchase the item. All right, there's a couple things you need to remember when you're doing that. If you negotiate with them, you need to either have them produce the conversation from their phone and we can see that there's a negotiated price to it and that we can see that, or you need to message in and or call in and let us know that you've negotiated a different price for the person. The best thing to do is to message or to leave, tell them that they're going to have to produce the conversation between you and them and show us that there's a different price other than what's on the tag. Okay? And then the second thing you have to remember is that there's tax involved. If you do not, we will tell them there's tax involved. You should tell them that as well. If you want to eat the tax, if you want to include that in your price, that is something you'll have to let the store know ahead of time. So you'll have to figure out who's working and then just let us know that so-and-so is coming to pick up this item and that you're including the tax, and that way we back the tax out in the system. So if the item is $40, we're going to ring it up as $38.62 or something like that, and that'll bring it to the $40, and the state gets their tax. Okay. So, and then the next thing you can do if your sales are slower is up your social media game. Whether you're on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or YouTube or any of those platforms, you want to step up your social media game. We had a couple vendors last month that stepped up their social media game, and we recognized it because we saw the social media, and both of those vendors' sales were up. And so, direct correlation, I don't know, but it definitely does help. It definitely does help, and it helps the shop as a whole when you do the hustle where you're bringing people in to purchase your items that are here in the shop and you're advertising it through Facebook Marketplace. It helps because sometimes they come in and they may not buy your piece when they get here, but they'll purchase other things, or they might buy your piece and then buy stuff that's additional. So that is something that you can do to help yourself out and help the shop out. But definitely across the board on social media, if you can, just up your game to help your sales during these slower months. All right, moving on. We're going to talk about booth lines. Each booth has a designated area that you're supposed to be in. We have a lot of vendors that keep continuously creeping out of their area. Okay, and I understand it's 1 or 2 inches, and oh yeah, it's just 1 or 2 inches. It's not. At the end of the day, if everybody did that, we wouldn't have walkways anywhere. So stay in your lines, okay? Stay in your lines. This is a warning that those of you who continuously pull outside of your lines, and you know who you are because we're pushing your stuff back in on a regular basis. If you continually do it, I'm just going to up your rent. So, and there'll be a note at the bottom why your rent's up, because you're continuously moving outside of your lines. Okay, so those of you that are doing it and you know who you are, you need to pull your stuff back in and keep it within your lines of your booth. If you don't know what your lines are, you can ask us and we'll help you out. Okay, moving on, we're going to talk about tags for a second. Tags are getting much better, okay? But we're still having a lot of problems with tags that are missing information. They're missing the vendor number, they're missing the price on them. Those items, when they come up, are just like a missing tag to us. We will not sell the item. We just put it away in the pink basket, and pink basket's getting full. You guys need to come in soon and clean out your items that are in the pink basket or around the pink basket soon, very soon, before I clean that basket out. So make sure that the best thing to do is finish your tag at home. If you're unsure about a price, then put a price on it. If you're bringing it to the shop to ask one of us what we feel the price should be, and we give you a different price, you just have to write a new tag. It's better than having no price on it and then having it wind up in the basket, because we will not sell an item that does not have a tag or does not have a price on it. If we can discern that it's a certain tag, some of you use different tags, and we can recognize the handwriting and it doesn't have the vendor number on it, then we'll go ahead and put the vendor number on it and we'll sell the item. But if it does not have a price, it's the same thing as not having a tag. We will not sell it. We will not reach out to vendors to ask them for prices on items anymore. It consumes way too much time at the counter. And often the people that are finding these items that do not have tags on them, they want it for pennies on the dollar, and you guys are not really willing to do that. Just because it doesn't have a tag on it doesn't mean it's $1. So that's what they're assuming, and it's just, yeah. So even if we get a price on it, half the time they don't buy it anyways. It's just too much at the counter to go through that on a regular basis. We probably have, I don't know, 10 to 20 tags a week that are items a week that get brought up to us that don't have tags on them. It's entirely too much. We are doing better, but we need to do even better. And then remember your size, okay? You have to have the correct size on the tag. It's a contractual obligation. We are returning tags as a courtesy right now, and that's another thing that pushes us further along down the road of not returning tags at all, is the tags that are the incorrect size. They're harder to handle, they're harder to track. So yeah, if you're unsure about what tag size they are, you can ask one of us. I'll give you a sample of tag, and you can, I just get mine on Amazon. So there we go. Anything else on tags, Lori?
No, I think that's it. You covered it.
Okay, really quick, just remember you are writing the tag for the customer and for the counter, not for yourself. A lot of you, we can't read your writing. So I've had a few people reach out to me and say, well, I don't, what is this on my sheet? It doesn't correspond to a tag. Well, if we can't read your tag, we just put what the item is. And that, you know, we'll get your vendor number and your price maybe because your numbers are different, but if we can't read your writing, you just get what the item is. So, and those of you who do very descriptive things on your tag, my suggestion, well, it was somebody else's suggestion, was that you put in quotes 2 words, and that would be the 2 words that we would use to put on your sheet, okay, when we're ringing the item in. But if it's wordy and it's got a bunch of stuff and I can't read it very well, and then I see mirror on there, that's all I put is mirror, okay? And I think most of the other people that work the counter are kind of the same way. There are a few items like books and albums. Books are always going to be book, and then albums are always going to be LP. So just know that we don't put the title of the book, we don't put the title of the album, because we have too many people that have albums, and albums are like Lay's potato chips. The customer can't just have one. So they come up with stacks of them, and then we have to roll through them, and we might have, out of that stack, they might have 6 different vendors. So we want to make sure that the vendor gets paid, so we're concentrating on the vendor number and the price, and then we just put LP on the report. So there you go. All right, let's keep moving along. Let's talk about the different sales. We have an issue with the types of sales that the shop has. There's 2 different types of sales that the shop runs. The first one is a shop sale. What was the last shop sale? Red, White, and Kaboom. Red, White, and Kaboom is a shop sale. When it is a shop sale, the shop is responsible for all signage and advertisement of that sale. Okay, and then the other type is a vendor sale, and the only vendor sales that we allow are vendor of the week sales. Okay, when it's a vendor sale, it's the responsibility of the vendor to do their own signage and their own advertisement of that sale. Okay, we are changing rapidly, and we'll talk about a few changes later, but one of the changes that we might be implementing soon is that vendor of the week sales will only be allowed to those who have a social media presence and can advertise their own sale. Okay, it's something that we're kicking around as it stands right now. We haven't done that, so you can continue to do that as long as you've met the requirements. We have a couple vendors who they don't understand the sales, and they can no longer do the vendor of the week because they don't meet the requirements. They aren't bringing their own signage in, they're not bringing it in on time, and then we do the advertisement for that particular sale, and then we wind up with egg on our face because when a customer walks in and goes, aren't they on sale? We're like, oh yeah, well, they forgot their signs. So we have to scramble and put our shop signs out and do all that, and that's not something that we do for vendor sales. We do that for shop sales. Let me again repeat that. Shop sales are the responsibility of the shop to advertise and put the signage in the booth. Vendor sales, which are vendor of the week, that's the only vendor sale that we offer right now, is vendor of the week is a responsibility to the vendor to advertise and put their signage in. And if you don't meet the qualifications by putting your signage in, you won't be allowed to do vendor of the week anymore. And we already have a couple vendors that are in that boat. They can no longer do it because they just don't understand when we say you have to bring your own signs in. Now, what you could do if you don't have social media presence and you want to continue to do vendor of the week is you could put signage up in your booth the week before that next week or week of this, your booth will be on sale so that customers that come in, and you could do that weeks ahead of time, they'll see that and, they may hold off on purchasing something of yours till you go on sale. And that's always the risk that you have of doing it like that. But you can advertise that it's next week or whatever. But you cannot put your signs in, whatever it is, 25% off, and then date the sign and then put it up a week. You have to say, let's just use Lori, for example. So she doesn't have a social media presence. She wants to advertise her sale. She's going on sale next week. So this week she would put signs in her booth that would say sale. This booth will be on sale the week of blah, 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 blah. Come back to see what great opportunity there is in the sale or whatever you want to say. But she's not going to put the percentage on there, and she's just going to have the dates that it'll be on sale. Just like the signs that we have that are posted up through the shop that tell about what each activity is during the month or each event that we have during the month. It just says vendor of the week will continue. So you would just put them in there, vendor of the week next week, vendor 7, check back for sale or whatever. Do that. Make sure you understand that. You're not putting your sales signs in there because we would fight at the counter for that whole entire week if Lori put her sales signs in there. The ones that she's going to use during the time frame that she is on sale. If she put those in a week early to advertise the sale, we're going to fight that at the counter that whole entire week. Why can't I have it? She's on sale next week, blah, 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 blah. But if you put signage and you don't include the price on it, we would just indicate to the customer, yes, they're going on sale next week, but we do not know what her sale will be, so we cannot give it to you this week. So there you go. All right, was that clear?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so just understand the difference. If it's a vendor sale, which means vendor of the week, you're responsible for doing the advertisement and your own signage. This is the last warning on that. We're not going to remind you. We're not going to scramble and put signs out. We're going to do it one more time when you mess up, and then that's it. You won't be allowed to do it again. Okay? Now, the next shop sale that we have coming up is the Red Hot Summer Days, and that's coming up in September. So we will request, we'll put a post out, we'll request your percentage off. You need to respond on, is it on the post you want them to respond?
No, I have a sheet at the counter here.
Yeah, we have a sheet at the counter that you have to fill up. Once, and we'll date that, we'll run the dates.
Yes.
Yeah, so we're gonna pull it down so that we can get all our signage ready prior to the event. It's probably gonna be a week before the event actually starts that we're gonna close it out. So those of you who wait till the last minute, are not going to be able to participate. I know that during the spring, I was on a kick about getting 100% participation, and we were doing a lot of phone calls, and it was really cool to be able to tell the customers that we have 100%, but we did it for a couple sales, and then we had vendors that just didn't do it, so we're just going to back away from it. It was really cool to be able to tell our customers we had 100%. But we can't get 100% because some people are just not going to do it. So we're going to back away from that as a ploy. It's not a ploy, but it was really cool to be able to say 100% of the vendors are participating, but we don't get 100%. So yeah, 10% is not really a sale because that's the same thing as that the card does. You're only giving it to somebody who didn't have a card that day. So you're really giving it to maybe a first-time customer or somebody who hasn't been here in a while, and you're just kind of giving that 10% away. You're just giving money away. So until we get to the point where everybody's participating again, we're not going to no longer strive to get 100%. We're just going to leave it the way it is. So we'll have a cutoff about a week before the event starts. If your percentage isn't in, you won't be able to participate. So make sure you keep that in mind. We'll let you know as soon as the sheet goes up, and it'll probably go up soon, that you can run in here and put your percentage down. Okay. Read the sheet before you do it, and make sure that when you're filling it out, you're filling it out correctly. Where it says vendor, we want your vendor number, and where it says percentage off, we want your percentage off. Okay. So there we go. That's the difference between those two. We're moving along. We're going to talk about tags, another issue on tags. If you go 2 months without picking up your tags, tags will no longer be sorted for you. Okay? There's quite a few of you that are in your second month of not picking up tags. You didn't pick them up last month. This is your second month. July, you're picking up for July is your second month. If you don't pick them up this month, they're just no longer going to be sorted. You're no longer going to have them available. There's no way we're going to go and get them for you when you request. You're just done with your tags. You won't get them anymore. Remember, we do it as a courtesy, so make sure you're picking up your tags if you want them. Anything else on the tags there? Okay. Shifts. We're going to talk about shifts. We're going to talk about the do's and the don'ts. Okay, before we get into that, I'm going to reiterate, if you are unable to do a shift, the full shift, because of the heat in the shop, which I do understand, you can always buy out. But we are no longer going to allow vendors to come in here, cook themselves, not feel good, and then so if you start not feeling good, we're going to send you home, but we're going to take that $50 from you. So make sure you're preparing yourself. Think about it before you sign up for a shift. Next month, if you're one of those people that the heat just kills you, just let Lori know when she asks you for your shift date that you won't be doing a shift that month. You can go ahead and buy out, and yeah, there you go. So keep that in mind. Yeah, and yeah, there's no, you're not going to be able to tailor it. I know the mornings are a little bit cooler in the shop, and everybody wants mornings, but we have to have people in the afternoon. So you just got to take what you can get. So if the only thing left is an afternoon and you feel you can't do it, again, just buy out of your shift. Okay. All right, let's talk about the do's and don'ts while you're on shift. Okay, the do's. Ask the right questions. When somebody has an item, the first thing you want to ask them is if they have anything else on hold at the counter. Okay, don't assume because it's the first item that you're taking from them that they don't have anything else at the counter. They could have self-held, brought something up on their own, or another vendor could have taken something from them. Identify the item that they have on hold so that we can add the new item that you're bringing up to that. Okay? If they're shopping together, do ask them if they're purchasing together, not if 2 ladies or 3 ladies or a group of ladies are shopping together. Of course they are. They came in the shop together. They came in the same car together. Yes, they're shopping together. We want to know if they're purchasing together. Okay? Another do is help customers find items. Now, this is a sticky one. Help customers find the items that they're requesting. Of course, if somebody comes in and is looking for owls, and you have owls in your booth, yeah, you're gonna go and say, yeah, I have owls in it right here, and then you're gonna go and find other owls in other booths. So it's not helping them shop your booth, it's helping them find the items that they're requesting. And we've had a couple vendors lately that are so good at that. I mean, they're scouring the store. I thought it happened just yesterday. I thought there was like something going on that I was unaware of, because both the vendors that were here were running all over the place, and I'm like, okay, what's going on? Is there something I'm not aware of? And then I finally picked up on the conversation they were having with the customer that they were searching for owls, but they searched the whole shop, and every one they found, they brought to the attention of that customer, and that's what we want. That is a do. Okay, there's an opposite to that. A don't is don't help them shop your booth. if they come in and say they're looking for stemware and you go, oh, well, I've got this, and they look at it, oh, if you don't like that, I'll do a better price. That is absolutely a no-no. You want them to shop the store. You help them find everything that could fit into what they're requesting, okay? Yeah, another do while you're here is learn the shop. Look around while you're here. Don't just, and we'll talk about the don'ts. Learn the store. Look at all the booths. Go through all the booths. Understand how it is to shop a particular booth. Understand what different items are in a different booth. Know where the Corningware is. You know what I mean? Know where the majority of the Tupperware is. All that kind of stuff. You want to learn the shop. That way you'll be able to help the next customer who says, do you have Corningware? Oh, well, yes, we do. We've got some here, some there. When people ask, we talked about albums early. When people ask about albums, I go straight down the line. You know, I say there's some right here next to the counter, and then she has a great selection over there, number 42. And then you can look in 5 and 77. They might have a few left. 15 has a few of them, and I just go through the list. 37, you know, and I say these are all the ones. And then, you know, I might have a vendor that's at the counter and say, hey, can you show them all these different numbers if they're looking for that? So know where things are, okay? All right. And then while you're here, you know, please, there's a broom and dustpan in the shop. Everybody knows where it is. Pick it up, sweep up a little bit. Even if it's not your area, it helps out. And you know, if you want a rag or whatever, you can clean a little bit. Yeah, we don't mind if somebody else cleans the bathroom. Yeah, you know, just ask. You know, if you want to clean the bathroom, go for it. Yeah, we got gloves. So, all right, let's talk about the don'ts. Okay, while you're here and you're on shift, I understand it's hot. I understand that you might want to sit down on occasion. If you're going to sit down in your own booth on your own furniture. Okay? We've said it, we keep saying it, and people keep doing it. You know, guys, we have cameras. So, I mean, really, you're not getting away with anything. Okay? I'm very aware of what people are doing in the back of the shop, you know, while they're on shift. Okay? So, which leads me to the change, and we'll be talking about that, the couple of the bigger changes that might be coming up soon. Okay, so you're not going to be able to hide, because I can see you in the shop, and if you're going to sit, it's okay to sit in your own booth. I understand that. You know, every now and then you got to sit. I can stand up here for 4 hours straight, ringing in, doing nothing but ringing and rapping. And then, you know, I want to sit down. Of course, I have the chair right here. There we have a chair. If you need to sit, you can come up and we can put that chair in a way, in somewhere you're not going to be in the way, and you can sit a few minutes, or bring a chair, or put a chair in your booth and sit in your booth, okay? But you cannot sit in somebody else's furniture in somebody else's booth, period. Okay, you're taking away sales from them, and that is not fair. Okay, yeah, and then we got to eliminate all the stuff that's on the refrigerator. We get so much stuff that keeps getting piled up on the refrigerator, and the shelf there. So we have a vendor locker for your bags or your purses or your keys. Put them there. If you've got one cup, you know, and yeah, put the cup in your booth. It doesn't have to go on the refrigerator. The refrigerator is not a break area. Okay, there's waters in there. The refrigerator is for the items that the shop puts in there, not the items that you bring with you. Okay, if you have to have something to eat, you bring a dry snack. Don't bring your lunch and come in here and eat your lunch. Eat it before you get here. But if you have to have a snack, dry snack, you know, yeah. So the refrigerator is basically off limits to bring items in and put in the refrigerator. Okay, it's not there for that. It's there for those of us who work behind the counter and keep a few drinks in there, and then the waters that we give out to customers and that we all drink. So if you're drinking water, we have them there for you. Just remember, if you are taking waters, you should bring them in. We have a couple vendors that bring in waters all the time. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think I've ever seen, I shouldn't call him out, but I don't ever think, the one that brings in the most, I don't ever think I've seen him or her take a water. Yeah.
They bring it in for us.
They bring water in constantly, and I don't, maybe once.
Maybe?
Yes, yes. And we're appreciative to those of you who bring in water, and I hope the person that understands who I'm, that you get great thanks for bringing in water all the time. And then I've never seen you take one. So my hat's off to you. I really appreciate it. Yeah, so, and then the last thing is, I know you guys, when you're here and you're on shift, you like to hang out and talk to each other, and that's fine. But just keep it to a minimal and don't do it at the counter. It's distracting at the counter when you do that. Just keep your conversations at a minimal and move on and help customers. But please, if you're on the hunt for an item, let another vendor know, because more sets of eyes is better for that particular customer. All right, we're going to move on. Okay, we're going to talk about some of the habits of the best booths. Okay, so we have booths in the shop that make good money on a regular basis, and I tried to identify. I asked some other vendors of the habits, because if you don't know, there's vendors that really crush it every month. So I'm going to give you the habits that they do. The first habit, probably the number one thing, is they shuffle a lot. They move stuff around an awful lot. Okay, they reinvent their booth a lot. They move big things a lot. The number two habit of theirs, the good habit, is they price well. Okay, they price. You think low?
According to what they pay for.
Yeah, they price low. So if they buy an item that might be $20 on a regular basis, but they got it for $1, they might sell it for 10, and that's just, they're making 9. They're not trying to capitalize to get every dollar, and they just sell more that way because they're pricing that way. Okay? And then their change of selection, they restock and they change their selection. So if something is hot, like I tell you guys what sells on a regular basis, I notice that some vendors, they rush to bring those things in. They rush to bring those in. I've talked about, well, I do this on my YouTube show more than that, trending items that aren't really trending in decades. Like mushrooms are trending in our industry, but we have very few people bring in mushrooms, but when they do bring the mushrooms in, they go. So it's like hen on a nest. If you get one of those in, it's gonna sell. So you gotta, so restocking and changing your stock to see what sells, that's a great habit that these vendors seem to have. They display well, okay? They change it up. They make little vignettes within their booth, and they change this area or that area. Maybe not the whole wide booth, but they kind of take things and they put them together. So they display well. They display well. Okay. And number 5, kind of on the restock, and we already touched this, is they select the right stuff. They know what is trending. They know that mushrooms are trending, and they bring them in. So tomatoes are trending. Yeah, a little hint there. Tomatoes are trending right now. So there's a whole wave of that. So grab tomato stuff and bring it in.
Ducks.
Yeah. Well, the ducks, that old 80s, the hearts and the ducks from the 80s, the blue ducks. Oh, that stuff is crazy. It's selling. I'm selling tons of ducks. Yeah, I put my ducks in a row, if you guys haven't noticed, and I sell. As soon as the row gets disturbed, I go find another duck and I put it in a row, and I'm selling on a regular basis ducks. It's crazy. But yeah, so get the trendy stuff. Another thing that was brought to my attention is lighting. Good lighting in a booth. You know what I mean? That seems to be common to people who are selling well. Having their booth be accessible. That's a big thing. If people can get into your booth and walk around your booth well, it seems to coincide with the fact that you sell well. And then adding color or pop in your displays. Having an area that has, even like sale tags pop. those big sale tags, having an area of sale tags and having that color from the tags in there, that'll draw people in. Having an area that has, like a whole shelf of Vaseline glass, that's color that pops. And that seems to be common for people who sell well at Decades Reclaimed. Yep. Okay, so the last thing before I turn it over to Lori to see if she has anything is a couple changes that are coming up. Okay, we are considering, I already talked about this, making the vendor sales, any vendor sales that we have, only accessible to people who have a social media presence. Okay, that is a thing that we are considering. We are drawing closer on vendor shifts to doing away with them 100% right now, and this is not in concrete, and if it does turn to that, you'll get a notice. Right now we are looking at November 1st for everybody's rent except the shelves increasing by $50. Everybody, November 1st, it's not 100%. If we continue on the track of the vendor shifts getting where people are not hiding or sitting in other people's booths or being able to do their whole entire shift, we won't do this. But right now we're targeting November 1st is everybody's rent increasing by $50 per booth. Okay, per booth that they hold, $50. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we are going to allow you to reduce that by doing a vendor shift if we ask you. Currently, anybody can do a vendor shift. Anybody can do that, but we may restrict that. It's not 100%, so don't get all crazy about it. If you continue on the track that you are right now, where the vendors that are working their shifts improve, then we won't go here. But right now we're planning on November 1st, all booths increasing by $50, and then allowing you, if you can do a vendor shift correctly, I guess that's the way to put it, and we ask you to do them, we'll reduce it. So what this will allow us to do, those of you who don't seem to be able to do a vendor shift or can't do one correctly, we can allow vendors that can do them to do multiple ones and decrease their rent by the $50. There's a few of you that could be able to, we would say, can you do a vendor shift this month? Yes. And that'll take care of that $50. And then we say, well, can you do a second one? And then you would reduce your rent again by another $50. Okay, those of you who have multiple booths, I think right now are covered, because the only ones that have multiple booths are counter personnel, and they're already doing a shift that covers that obligation. So they would not be, there's no jeopardy there from them, because obviously they're doing their shift correctly because they're behind the counter doing their shift. So no fear there for those of you that work behind the counter. Yours would not increase at all, or it would increase, but it would just be the same because you already do the shifts anyways. So just keep that in mind. That's November 1st is what we're targeting, but there's a few months between now and November. If we continue on the track, which I think we're doing better. We're doing much better on vendor shifts, but if we can't get to there, then that's what's going to happen November 1st. All booth rent will increase by $50, and then you will be asked if you qualify, which means between now and November, you prove that you can actually be helpful in the shop and not just come in and hide somewhere. You're being helpful. You're doing something. If holds isn't your thing or whatever, then grab the broom and the dustpan, show that you're trying to help out, and then we won't do that. We'll just stay the way we are. So that's the plan. And then the other one I already said was taking vendor sales to only vendors who have a social media presence. Social media is such a huge way to advertise for us, and I know you guys are thinking, well, why don't we do it? Well, we do it. We do a ton of it, but our reach is only our reach. Our reach is only the store's reach. Okay, we have 60 plus vendors in the shop, and if they did a fraction of what the shop did, it would increase our sales across the board for everyone. Everyone. So when you do social media for your particular booth, because you are a booth owner, you own that booth. That booth is yours. I don't tell you what you can have in there. I might restrict what you can have in there, but I don't tell you what to put in or how to price it. That is your responsibility to keep it clean, organized, do all that kind of stuff. You're the owner of that space, okay? Just as I'm the owner of the whole entire store. And we work hard for the social media presence that we have on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube, through our newsletter, and even on Whatnot. You know, I do Whatnot, but I'm constantly saying where I'm from, and people will ask on my Whatnot show, where in Florida are you located? In Central Florida, and then they say what city, and I tell them, and they say, oh, well, I come through there, I might have to stop by. So even on Whatnot, the name is out there, okay? We push it out as much as we possibly can, okay? So help out, and go ahead and, yeah. If you need help with the social media, we will do our best to help you. It's pretty easy once you get the hang of it. It takes minutes to take a few pictures and to throw a post up. Minutes. Really, it's not hard. You see some of the ones I do, I just put check it out. That's what I say. Check it out, and then it's a video and whatever. So that's all you have to do. You can say new to the shop, take a few pictures up. You know, you can do it at home. Going to the shop this week, take a few pictures of the items that you have, and let people know that it'll be coming to the shop. All right. What else?
Yeah. Just the shifts again. When I send the text out for the shifts, like Jim said, if you cannot do it, just say I'm gonna buy out.
Yeah, so there you go. What she's saying, if you can't hear her back there, is she's saying when she sends the text out, if you know you can't take the heat, just go ahead and say I'm buying out. And that'll be it. We'll take care of it. And you guys will be all set. So
there's only so many morning shifts, so if you want a morning and it's taken, I can't change it. I can't make somebody else change it.
Yeah, so there you go. She's saying the morning ones are they're limited.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you can't, if you have to have the morning and you can't get the morning, buy the shift out, because we can't make people switch.
Yeah.
It's first come, first serve is the way you do it, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I don't.
So, yeah. Yeah, she generally sends it out on the Sunday before the first weekend. So, all right, that's it, guys. Hey, thank you. Great month. Thank you for July. You guys were awesome in July. We crushed it. We are hoping that August is the same. Now, August typically is our slow. It's not the. Is it the slowest month?
August, September are usually.
August and September are the two slowest months in the shop. But July was one until this July, and we crushed it. So we're hoping to do the same thing in August. We have a few events coming up. We do have the yard sale that comes up this Saturday. Thank you to Vendor 39 for doing that for us. That just helps the shop out so much. That'll run from 7 to 1. On Friday, we have a Pokemon sale. We've talked about this before. If you have Pokemon in the shop, you need to remove them before the 14th. Otherwise, they will be 50% off their price. Doesn't matter if they're firm or marked down or anything like that. It covers all Pokemon cards in the shop from the 14th through the 17th. And then the next week after that is a comic book sale. Again, 50% off the 21st through the 24th. And again, if you have comics in the shop, they are subject to that price. It is comic books, sports cards, and Pokemon are all subject to the sales of the shop, okay? And it's been that way from the get-go. So if that bothers you, I'm sorry, but I've said it. I mean, I don't know how many times I've said it. I've said it a ton, that if you have those items in here and we approach a sale, you need to remove them. You can take them out and then bring them back in if you don't want them to go 50% off, okay? But again, it will not matter if it's marked down. It is what it is. If it's a comic book and it's on sale, it's 50% off. You know, if you've got big books in here, take them out. You know, take them out for the week, bring them on back. And then, you know, Pokemon's the same way. And of course, if we do sports cards or PCS sale, which is all 3 of them, they would be on sale too. So there you go. That's it. All right. Thanks again for a great July. We will see you guys at the shop. If you got questions, comments, concerns, you can put them in the comments. See you later.